Welcome to Learn JavaScript on Codecademy. We're in the control flow section. This is lesson 7, switch statements. And it tells us, before we move on, let's circle back to else if statements. Using else if is a great tool for when we have a few different conditions we'd like to consider. Else if is limited, however. If we want to write a program with 25 different conditions like a JavaScript cache register, we'd have to write a lot of code, and it could be difficult to read and understand. To deal with this, when you need many else if conditions, we can turn to a switch statement to write more concise and readable code. Note, to a computer, a switch statement and an if-else statement are the same, but a switch statement can be easier for other humans to read. Part of being a good developer is writing code that both computers and other humans can read. Switch statements look like this. So they have a variable grocery item which is assigned papaya. Then we have our switch statement here, which takes in grocery item, and then these are all the different conditions. In the condition that the case grocery item was tomato, it would console log tomatoes are 49 cents, and then it would break, and none of this would run. But since it is not tomato, grocery item is papaya, it will never run this statement here. It will actually go to the next case, which checks if grocery item is lime. If it was lime, it would console log limes are 149 and then break. But since it's also false, it would actually go to the next case, which checks if grocery item is papaya. Since it is, it will actually run this console log, which says papayas are 129 and then break. If all the conditions are false, that is what the default is for, and it would console log invalid item, similar to the else. So 1, the switch keyword initiates the statement and is followed by parentheses, which contains the condition that each case will compare to. In the example, the condition is grocery item. So 2, inside of the block, there are cases. Case is like the else if part of an if, else statement. The word following the word case is tomato. If grocery item equal tomato, the case's console log would run. 3, grocery item equals papaya, so the first and second case statements are skipped. The third case runs. Since the case is papaya matches grocery item's value, this particular program will log out papayas are 129. Then the program stops with the break keyword. This keyword will prevent the switch statement from executing any more of its code. At the end of each switch statement, there is a default condition. If none of the cases are true, then this code will run. So number 1 in the instructions says, let's illustrate this by converting our werewolf program to a switch statement. For now, let's also delete the foggy night variable so it doesn't fog up this concept. So we could delete this variable. So moon phase will become the condition of the switch statement. So we can probably copy how they did here and paste it here. But instead we're going to switch this to moon phase, and then so this is our switch statement, and we're pretty much just going to, whatever stuff is here, we're actually going to add it in there. So as you guys can see here, the first thing is we do case and then whatever we're testing for. So we can actually just do case, and we're going to check for, so we would just do full, and then we would, if it is full, we would console log, that's the first condition, and then break. Second condition we could test for is mostly full. That's what it is here. So we check there, and if it is mostly full, then we want to console.log arms and legs are getting hairier. So this one needs that, and that one needs a semicolon 2. Next, we could do our next case. Oh, let's not forget our break. We do our break there, and then we do our next case, which will check mostly new. And the same thing, if it is mostly new, we want to console log back on to feet. Okay, so let's see what else. Mostly new. And the next one, our final else, which will be our default. would be invalid moon phase. Let's just make sure we're doing what the instructions are telling us. So moon phase will become the condition of the switch statement. Then each moon phase will become each case that the switch statement checks for. Start by writing a switch statement with moon phase as its condition. I'm already kind of ahead of that, so let's just run this, see if it gives us a thumbs up. It did. It actually also gave us a thumbs up here. It says then write each else if condition as a case. If moon phase is full, then use console log to print how. Actually going to, just to make sure it's exactly the same, copy that, paste it here. Okay, let's see what else. So we forgot our default. I'm not sure if it's asking for a default here. I think they're not. So let's just erase this real quick. This gives us. Okay, so now it's saying to add the default, which we can do. After here, we do a break, and then we do our default. So once we do our default, let's actually make sure this is being done correctly. The default, yes. And then we just write our code, which will be also a console.log that says invalid moon phase, I believe. Yep, invalid moon phase. So we would do invalid moon phase and then break. Let's not forget this semicolon there. So if we run this, we should also fulfill the third instructions, which we did. Fourth says, nice work, switch statements can make your code easier to read and easier for others to understand. So as you guys can see, it's pretty much the same as our else if statements. It just looks a lot cleaner. So that was lesson 7, switch statements, from Learn JavaScript's control flow section.